Hello, everyone. This is another episode of Conversations with Rob. Arnoux Goran, thanks so much for coming back on today. I appreciate it.
Absolutely a pleasure. Great to see you, Rob.
All right. So, Arnoux, that's what we're going to get into today and talk to him about dating. We see the dating, a whole arena has changed. We see dating apps. We see Bumble, Tinder, Match.com, all kinds of other crazy things that you can be a member to. What do you see with that? What do you think about all this in the dating world?
As far as online dating, what do I think about that?
Correct.
I
Yeah.
love it. I think it's amazing that you can filter through people and look for someone that you want so much more easily than ever before in history. But there is a lot to learn about how to do it. In fact, I have a whole program called Mastering Online Dating that I'm working on right now. Because if you don't really have any experience with it, you might waste a lot of time. And if you can hone in on what it is you really want, then you can filter through everyone else and get to that person you're looking for a lot better. But I do want to add something to that from a study done on psychology. In this study, they had people write a description of what they thought they wanted. And then they introduced them to a lot of people. Some of them were exactly a match to their description of what they thought they wanted. And some people were not at all. And it turned out that people were not really attracted to what they thought they wanted. They were just attracted to whoever they were attracted to. If they had chemistry with someone, they had chemistry with them. And so part of the problem I see in online dating is that people are sometimes shy to meet, because once you meet, then you can see if there's chemistry. So if you just get out there and meet some people, you'll be more likely to find someone you really connect with.
Agreed. You see that a lot when you're coaching people that, they are a lot different, in person than behind the computer screen.
Well, on video, you can get a lot more about someone than you can just from what they wrote on their profile. So if you don't want to waste a lot of time, you can just have a video chat and you'll get a better idea of if you really like that person or not. And if you're really good with your intuition, you can probably sense a lot of things from someone, even just by talking on the phone with them. But you get all your senses engaged when you're in person with them. So it's not a bad idea to do a quick video chat, say, hi, I just want to see if we connect. The problem with that is most people want to dress up and look their best when they meet someone for the first time. And who wants to get dressed up for a video chat, right?
Right.
So what I would say is go ahead and just try to get to the meeting as quickly as you can without scaring off the other person, because people are still afraid to meet strangers. We have all that stranger danger in our country. So once you can get past that by showing you're a nice person, try to meet them in person. You don't have to spend a lot of money on dinner. Just try to meet them for a juice or coffee or something.
I feel like it would be me wasting a lot of money if I'm doing on continuous dates, spending money, and these people are basically, in plain English, if you don't connect with them, they're kind of using you.
Yeah. Throughout my life, I would manifest a girlfriend. I'd create one. I'd write a description and I'd meet her and she'd be my girlfriend. So I never dated. And then after a long relationship, I realized I want to know what dating is. So I decided to do dating, and I went on over 100 dates in a year using online dating. That's how I got all my experience to write that program. And I found that I would, ask permission to buy dinner, or I'd ask permission to open their door, because most girls aren't even used to a guy opening the door for them. I would tell them, hey, if you wait right here, I'll come around and open the door for you. And let me tell you, that makes an impression. But you're right. I went through that same experience of, should I really be buying this girl dinner when I know I don't want to go on a second date with her? What do I do now? do I kindly say it was nice to meet you and then just offer to split the check, which is your way of letting her know I'm not interested in a second date? That's one way you can do it. I think it comes down to how you say it and the kind of classiness you can have. And you can say, it was really nice to meet you. Well, how would you feel about splitting the check? If she says, no, I want you to pay for it, you shouldn't have to. And at that moment, she should also realize you're not interested in a second date. So it's okay. But if you like her, then you don't want to offend her by making her feel like, you're trying to buy her. So you can say, listen, I really enjoyed dinner with you. Is it okay if I go to dinner? And if she says, no, I can handle it myself, no problem. Just respect where she's at, and you're going to get a lot farther. Because some girls really want to show themselves and the world that they don't need you to take care of them. They can take care of themselves, which is really great, because that means that if they like you for you, not for your money. That's cool. The advent of this technology is a wonderful thing in many ways, and there's a drawback. that people are connecting less and less with other people and more with their phones. You walk in someone's house, mom and dad are both on their phones and the TV's on. No one's talking to anybody, right? So there's going to be a need then, and there already is, for people to get together and put their phones away and hang out. And I've seen groups like that on Meetup and so on. They agree to put all their phones in a big bowl and they just get together and hang out with each other. I think that's a really healthy thing to do. So if you find yourself not feeling confident in talking to people, part of getting over that confidence is just to go out and talk to more people. You know, confidence has an internal and an external component. The external component is practicing doing the thing you want to be good at. And so what it means is that men need to learn how to be good at dating.
Yeah.
Right? You got to learn how to do it. You got to learn how to talk to a girl, how to talk to people. And it starts with you thinking about what kind of man do you want to be? Who do you want to be in reflection to that girl you're on a date with? And if you start thinking about how you want to be, you'll start becoming more and more of that person. You can work towards that on the inside and on the outside. And you're right, it's a bigger challenge for our generation or the younger generations, because they're more and more in their phone at younger ages. So all that means is you need to spend some time reading books, taking courses, and actually practicing being the kind of man you want to be in relationship to a girl.
And I've met girls that look real skinny in their pictures, and you meet them and they look about 20, 30 pounds heavier as far as that goes. Yeah,
Okay. So here's my take on that. You want to make your profile as honest as possible. You want to use photos from this week, this year. You want to say exactly what you're looking for, because otherwise you're going to attract someone who is not a match to you. You want someone who likes you the way you are. And if you have to lie about how you are, whether it's in the picture or what you write, that means you don't like yourself. Right? You don't really love yourself the way you are. So you got to work on that. Now, if you go on a date with someone and they look way different, way worse than what they're like, they lied about their age and they're actually 20 years older or 5 years younger or whatever it is, they've got an issue to work on. You may not even find them attractive. That happened to me. I went on this date and I couldn't even find the girl because she didn't look like her profile. I didn't recognize her. And when I saw her, I'm like, I would never have agreed to this date if I knew she looked like this. And I didn't know what to do at first because I didn't want to hurt her feelings. But I couldn't waste any more of our time.
Yes.
So I said to her, I said, look, I have to apologize, but I have to go. I apologize. And I left, and she was really angry and upset and sent me a bunch of hateful messages. And I just said, I bless you on your way. You know, good luck to you on your journey. But I'd recommend in the future, if you want to meet someone, put pictures that look like how you actually look, because I wouldn't have agreed to meet you otherwise. I didn't want to get mad back, but that told me right away she wasn't someone I'd want to date because she doesn't like herself. I don't want to date someone who doesn't like themselves. I like myself the way I am. Of course, I'm getting better, always trying to get better. But you got to start with loving yourself the way you are in order to get better.
But that goes back into the video chat too, that, you know, to kind of see somebody out, even if it's something on video, to make sure you don't have to waste any kind of gas or any kind of time to meet up with somebody that, you know, it's not going to be a match, as you said.
Yeah, why not? Why not just do a quick, hey, let's just chat for 5 minutes by video and see if we get along. Some girls will agree to that, some won't. Like I said, who wants to put on all their makeup and get all dressed up just to do a video chat? So it might be better to meet for coffee or something that's, again, a low risk first meeting. And if you like each other because you have chemistry, then take her on a real proper date and tell her, so listen, I want us to meet if we have chemistry. If we do, I'll take you on a proper date like a gentleman. You know, a lot of girls will respond to that.
Sorry to interrupt you.
Everyone wants to make a good first impression. So do you, right? Yeah. So for a girl, it takes a lot more work to make a good first impression because they have a lot more work to do to make themselves beautiful. And that's who they are, right? They are beautiful. That's part of being a feminine being. And so it takes more time and effort for them to make themselves look as pretty as they can. So when you meet them, you see them how they see themselves. Now, when they take off all their makeup and so on, they may not look the same. And ideally, after you get to know them as a person, you won't care. You'll like them every way that they look. And sometimes they look super hot because they're dressed up. And sometimes they look super frumpy because they just woke up in the morning, and you don't care because you like them all the way. They don't want you to meet them when they look super frumpy and they just woke up in the morning. They want you to meet them when they look their best. You probably want to look your best too, but it's much more important to a female. And that's just part of the female, male, masculine polarity. And the female is the beauty that wants to attract you with their beauty. So you got to give them a chance to look pretty for you. And that's the thing. They want to look pretty for you. So that's why I say pretty takes time. Never complain when your woman is getting dressed up to look pretty for you and telling her to hurry up. No, take all the time you need, babe. Look as pretty as you can because it's for you.
Yeah.
She's doing it for you.
That's true.
You know, she might be willing to get dressed up to meet you for coffee more than she'll be willing to get to look good to meet you on the phone for a video. But it's easier and quicker just to meet her on the phone for a quick video chat. If you like her, then you can go to dinner, go to coffee, take it from there. Every girl is different. And so you kind of have to start off just feeling her out and seeing where she's at and how comfortable she feels before you can really get to that date point.
So I want to end on this question for this topic, and then we'll move on to more about what you've dealt with. As far as with this hookup culture thing, I wanted you to talk about that.
I think every society evolves as people start to change the cultural agreements and what we think is okay and acceptable and what we believe is right and wrong. And I think we're starting to loosen up, hopefully, our beliefs about sex and making sex less of a bad thing and more of a good thing, because ultimately it's just perfectly natural. And so hooking
But
up just
Arnie,
means
let me
having sex with
interrupt
somebody.
quick.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but we talk about sex education, and nobody wants to teach that in the schools. So that goes into a different topic about pregnancy, men knowing what they're doing. Then they don't know what they're doing, so they turn to pornography, which is totally fake. But that's what I'm saying. So I have to push back on a little bit about the sexuality being more. I mean, it is more open in society, but it's just there's still a lot of issues that we haven't dealt with as far as that sex education.
You are absolutely right. Our sex education levels in America are terrible. Most teenagers don't know what the ovulation cycle is. They don't know you can track that and not get pregnant. They don't know about devices that can track it and tell you exactly what day you're going to get pregnant. So you don't even need to use a natural birth control anymore. We have natural ways of doing it and preventing pregnancy if you don't want to get pregnant. They also don't know about how to protect themselves from STDs. And a lot of times they go from a negative mindset to begin with. Like when I was in college, I was really lucky. I got to take the most popular class at the University of Washington, which is one of the biggest schools in the world, which was human sexuality. It was so hard to get in. There were 500 people in every single class. And the professor, she told us about a study, okay, in America, and this was back in the year 2000, so about 20 years ago, the average loss of virginity was at the age of 17. And at the age of 17, half of Americans were still virgins and half were not. Of the ones who had sex, half of them believed that sex was bad and that you're going to be punished for doing it. The other half thought that sex was perfectly natural. Okay, the ones who thought it was perfectly natural did not have issues with STDs, did not have issues with pregnancy. The ones who thought it was bad had tons of problems with unwanted pregnancies and STDs. And she was telling us basically, this study is showing you that if you think it's bad, you're going to attract a negative consequence. If you think it's natural, you're more likely to learn about how to protect yourself, how to have sex in a safe way so you can really enjoy it without any negative consequences. So the education piece is super important. You're absolutely right.
Right. Can you talk more about, to end the interview, more about your method and what you're developing and how you work with a lot of men and women that are signaled to find their significant other and hopefully live a good life together?
Absolutely. Look, it's all about what you want to create. If someone wants to create getting just, random partners, or they just want to experience different people, that's okay. But usually people get tired of that after a while. And they want to be with someone that they can really know and that can really be part of their life and be a lot closer to them and have intimacy beyond just physical intimacy. They want to have mental and emotional intimacy. So if you get to that point, you can create someone that's going to be your sweetheart, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your husband, your wife, maybe someone you want to have a family with, okay? So I have a program for that called How to Manifest Your Soulmate. Now you can put the word girlfriend there, boyfriend, husband, wife, whatever you want to call them. And the website's howtomanifestyoursoulmate.com. There's really 3 parts to how to manifest your soulmate or how to attract your soulmate. The first part is actually the rules of how to create somebody. And yes, you can actually create a person and meet them. The second part is about getting ready for them, which includes making yourself more attractive. But it's not just about like hair and makeup. It's about becoming energetically attractive. So when they meet you, they are more attracted to you being like who you are. And the third part is getting inside to find out what's preventing you from having that kind of relationship that you're looking for? What's causing you to replay negative patterns in your relationships? Or what's causing you to attract people that you don't like or that don't match what you're looking for? So if you're interested in manifesting a soulmate, creating someone, bringing in a true love, that's the course I created, howtomanifestyoursoulmate.com.
So Arnie, we're going, I mean Arno rather, sorry.
Oh, that's cool. I like that.
All right.
That's funny.
going on all these dates and developing the method that you just spoke to the viewers about. You know, how do we talk about all these divorces that we're seeing in America right now? That, you know, people get married and they, you know, there's either annuls or divorces now, and it's constantly happening. See a lot of single mothers. It's really sad. So how would you talk about that?
On my YouTube channel, it's Arnoux Goran. I have a whole series of videos that are free on relationships. And one of them is the video on mirroring and matching. And what that means is that every single person is mirroring to you the issues that you need to work on. And if you can take that on, if you can think about your relationship with your significant other, your spouse, as they're helping you see what you need to work on, then you can work on it. But what most people do is they point at the other person and say, you made me angry. So this weekend, we just finished the 7 Steps Through Programming Yourself, a live 3-day course. Okay, on Sunday morning, this girl, Christy, comes up. She's a professional photographer. And she says, on Saturday, she started working on her anger towards her husband because he's so negative. And they've already talked about getting a divorce a bunch of times. They're really on their way to getting a divorce. They've been married for almost 10 years, I guess. And she says she's so mad at him because he's so negative. They won't stop being negative. It's him. But she erases her anger that she feels about him being so negative. She's thinking, well, at least I'll feel better. What she didn't expect is that 15 minutes after erasing her anger, he texted her and said, I love you. The thing is, he never texts her. He won't even reply to her text. So she stopped texting him. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he's texting her. Then he's flirting with her by text. And she's like, who is this man? This is not my husband. He hasn't been like this. Then they go out to a concert, and she's dancing as she's driving in the car, thinking, he's going to make fun of me. He's going to cut me down. And she says, I'm a dork, huh? And he says, no, you're just so beautiful. Someone else is going to snatch you up. And she said, I didn't even believe him because he's never, ever told me that. She said, I turned to him and said, why didn't you tell me that? We've been together for 10 years, and in 10 years, you've never told me that I'm beautiful. Why didn't you tell me before? And he said, I don't know. Wow. See, he had his anger, and she had her anger, and that was causing the conflict, and him never even expressing his real feelings for her. Once she got rid of her anger, he stopped mirroring that back to her, and the real love came present. So before you break off with your sweetheart, I would recommend learning how to clear out all your own issues and then see how the relationship looks when you're not pissed off at them anymore.
Last couple of questions. Do you feel like people get married too fast then?
I think that a lot of times they get married without being really clear about how relationships work. They don't have education on relationships. They don't have clarity on what they really want. They know that they want to have happiness, and so they just go for it. And then they get into a relationship, and it's kind of like trying to swim without ever having a class. They just flail around like, I don't know what to do. They've never even heard of mirroring and matching. They don't know how to erase negative emotions. So then how are they supposed to deal with the fact that their sweetheart wants to do something that they don't like, or vice versa? And layers of issues start stacking up and stacking up and stacking up. There's a movie called The Story of Us with Bruce Willis and Michelle Pfeiffer. And it's a great movie about what we're talking about. Right? They fall in love, they love each other, they're so passionate, but then as time goes on, they get more and more angry until they just can't stand each other anymore. And it's because layer upon layer upon layer upon layer of issue just keeps stacking and stacking and stacking. If we can just erase all those layers, then they can go back to how they felt in the beginning. So did they rush into it too quickly? Well, if you make agreements that are fair and reasonable, it's okay to rush in, because then you can easily pull back if you need to. But if you make agreements that lock you in and cause you to have to pay a lot of money or suffer and struggle because you've made those agreements, that can be a big problem.
Arno, last question, and then I want you to talk about where people can find the method. So any advice for guys, what to do, how to make sure that they're pleasing girlfriend, their wife, or whatever it may be.
Yeah. Don't do the things she expects you to do. Well, I mean, don't not do the things she expects you to do, but surprise her, right? Think of something that you've never done before. Think of something that she won't expect. Put flowers on her car seat in her car. So when she comes out of the office, she opens the car door and there's flowers on her car seat and a card saying, I love you. Do something spontaneous to surprise her. Give her flowers the day before Valentine's Day, and then give her flowers or something else on Valentine's Day. Write her a letter and send it through the mail so it arrives on Valentine's Day. And then she opens it. What the heck is this? And boom, she gets this like handwritten letter, especially if she's an old-fashioned kind of girl, because old-fashioned kind of girls like, if she likes classic movies, she'll like something like that. Do something that surprises her, that's spontaneous, and it'll add a spark to it. And then she'll be telling her girlfriends for months, oh, my honey, blah, 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 he did this and he did that. And take her somewhere without telling her. Girls usually love stuff like that, but you're a girl. So think about what would really make her happy. And if you do stuff like that, random things like that, she's going to be happy all the time. Look, you can have your girlfriend say, every day with Rob is like Valentine's Day. Mm-hmm. If you think about it like that, then you're going to start to create that happy environment, the happy feeling with her all the time. Give her flowers on a different day. And then when she says, why are you giving me flowers? Did you do something wrong? No, I just like you. I just want you to have something as pretty as you around the house. Those kinds of things will really spark the relationship.
Arnoux, I think you need to write a little book of tips for men and sell it.
I've been writing the outline for more than 5 years. It's called How to Get a Woman and Keep Her.
Okay, so there it is already. So Arnoux, can you just tell everybody where they can find more information on this? And also, if talk about the 7 quick, for the viewers that didn't hear our last talk about the 7 steps.
Sure. So if you're interested in meeting someone, it's howtomanifestyoursoulmate.com. If you want more information on relationships in general, you can go to my YouTube channel. I got a lot of videos there. It's Arnoux Goran. If you type in the 7 steps to reprogramming yourself, you'll find my YouTube channel also, because that's the name of the first modality that I'm known for. It's known to be the fastest, most powerful way to erase negative emotions and release the programming or negative thinking from things that happened to you in the past. It's like dropping baggage. And it's really powerful, obviously, in relationships. And if you want to know more about that, of course, you can go to my YouTube channel. You can also go to my website. My website is totalhealthmasteryusa.com. So I started teaching about health, the body, so that's why it's totalhealthmasteryusa.com. And on there, I have a free webinar called Why Your Life Is the Way It Is, where you learn why you keep replaying the same patterns, why you're blocked from manifesting or creating the things you want to create in your life. And I tell you about the 7 steps course at the end of that webinar. There's a whole page that you can read about the 7 steps course if that's something you want to do. You can take it online. You can take it in person. You can literally start today watching that course, learning how to erase all those old patterns.
All right, Arnoux. Thanks so much for all your help. And thanks so much for talking again to the viewers. We really appreciate it. And I know I learned a lot the last time you were on and this time too. And I'm definitely going to use those tricks. And we'll definitely have you on again for sure.
All right. I appreciate that, Ron. I appreciate you. And hi to everybody.